I want to pick up on something that you said there in terms of the journey. And I think that often what can happen is that there is no clear pathway for, especially we see it with medium businesses. Obviously, with large and enterprise businesses that we work with, there's often some kind of idea around what the pathway is for people. Though that being said, we'll never make assumptions because we've worked with some very big organizations that have no clearly defined pathways for their team members other than to perhaps maybe move into a management position. And when we talk about culture, part of what makes a positive culture is having happy individuals that get along with each other, that then create an environment that thrives. And there's the ability for cross collaboration and celebrating wins, working through challenges, etc. And one of the key things about human behavior is often people will have something that drives them either away from pain, or it will drive them toward the possibility of pleasure, or something to look forward to. And actually, there's a really interesting study recently just talking about that mind body connection and the scientific kind of aspects of our happiness and, body chemicals and things like that. There was a study that was done that people actually get more of a dopamine hit from the looking forward to a holiday than they do from the holiday that they actually go on. And so when we think about career progression, what are we looking forward to, or what do our team members have to look forward to in terms of their development, what they can learn, what's next in their career journey? And often when people enter into organizations where they've been part of graduate programs, they've been at university, and then they get into a big five or what have you, they often will have clear career pathways. But for often businesses that are more medium in their size, or potentially they don't necessarily have those types of curated programs, there can be a lack of visibility for the individual about where they can go, what they can do, and what skills do they need to develop to be able to bridge the gap between where they are now and their next promotion or their next step in their career journey. I know, Alex, you've
I
go on,
think
Brad.
yeah, I think it's really important as well, because often what happens if we don't actually develop their skills and we don't let them know what the skill they need to develop, we don't do that, we're effectively developing the skill of the imposter syndrome. And they get there, they get promoted, and then they don't actually feel that they're worthy of being there.
Mm. Yeah, actually, I had a really interesting session a few days ago with someone who I would consider to be a fairly senior level executive, uh, feeling a bit stuck in their career journey. And when I was talking to this lady, it was sort of like, I know that I need to be developing this, and I'm really not sure what it is. And after a few questions, we actually came down to the fact that not only did she not know what skills and things she needed to develop to get to the next level, she actually was feeling really incongruent about what she wanted, because there was no one to say what possibilities there were for her to start to get some ideas about what might be the next step in her career. And so, Alex, I know you and I have been doing a project recently where we've seen the impact of some of those things in terms of pathway progression, and particularly when we look at gender equity and things like that, that can also play a role. What have been some of the high level comments that you shared with me the other day? Obviously, keeping people's names and identities, under discretion. What have you seen as being the main impact of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's interesting across the board talking to different people within the business, obviously different levels of leadership. And a lot of the times, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the times I feel people hold themselves back, and it's easy to fall into the old value system or value, as you understand, value levels. uh, we're all operating, and our values levels are changing at the moment. We're seeing it in the people that we're coaching. And once again, as Brad mentioned before, it's meeting people where they're at and developing them from where they're at. And that's been really, really interesting. So with the higher levels of management, as we're developing the lower levels and they're starting to come up and really shine and start to see other possibilities that they never once knew were there, it's making sure that we're cleaning up, their neurology, the way they're thinking about their own progression, what is it that they're capable of within the company. And of course, once the limiting beliefs and that restrict them from being able to, progress once we actually work with people and we create the shift and people create shift in their own mindset. It's amazing the opportunities that it opens up, and the progression of some of the people that we've been working with has just been absolutely phenomenal. Some of the feedback we've had from one of the leaders in particular is, that I need to ease up a little bit. We need to be a little bit mindful that, as we're encouraging these workers to come up and through the system, so to speak, that where's their place going to be if everybody's starting to become quite progressive in their role. And to be honest, it absolutely overjoys me, because as I said to him, well, if you're a phenomenal leader, you'll be recognized for that. And then obviously you get to move up as well. So we're actually collectively progressing together. And I think that's really important in terms of the mindset for people, is they need to be mindful and respectful of the fact that, you can be a phenomenal leader. And I think the old mindset was, if I'm a really great leader and people come up, then my role's at risk. And look, it's the ultimate compliment, isn't it? But the thing is that if you're recognized and seen as a phenomenal leader and you're bringing people up through and around you, then there creates a space for you as well to progress in your career. So I feel like it is a collective whole. But looking at where we started to where we are now, it's a phenomenal difference. Like it's incredible the amount of growth that people have had. And once again, it comes back to being clear on what it is that they are wanting to do, because we can't upskill them and we can't give them the resources and things that they need unless they know what it is that they want. Yeah. And it's also removing the limiting thinking as to what's available to them. So a lot of these people have stepped in, thinking that, this is it for them and they have to become exceptionally good at what it is that they're doing in their role. But there's a bigger picture here, and a lot of these companies, and some of the ones that we're working with in particular, have a really great program, or encouraging and supporting people to actually take that step. And mentorship is key in being able to give these people confidence to actually bring them up and through their own leadership journey.